Shalom, shalom, shalom. Make sure that you guys are subscribed to the channel so that you can enter into the chat. Shalom, greetings, and welcome to another episode here at Israelite Talk TV, where you get the raw and the real. Okay. So understand, when you come here to Israelite Talk TV, you don't get paid points like you get on a lot of these major platforms, where they have to push certain perspectives and certain points because they're paid media, and they have to push these points regardless of what they whatever they feel about the subject. They just got to push it because it's paid media. So just want to welcome everybody for coming in here tonight. So we're gonna give it a few minutes, let some more people get into the building. um I'm gonna set my timer for about 10 minutes. So I got my timer set for about 10 minutes. Allow everybody to get in. Make sure you guys share the link, get this message out to the people so brothers and sisters can tune in. Understand that the machine is not on my side. Okay, it's not working with me. You know what I'm saying? If I was the Bozo show and putting a lot of this information out here where just a bunch of entertainment and stuff, they will be pushing the product, but they're doing all type of stuff to the channel just to kind of keep the keep that truth suppressed from getting out to people. Okay. So make sure you guys are sharing this link. Let everybody know that we live. And we're getting ready to go in here in a minute. So go get all your refreshments or whatever it is that you need, in order to that you have everything for the duration. And we're gonna get into it here in a few minutes. We're just gonna allow a few more people to come on in. While I'm waiting, I just want to go over some news and stuff. If you guys are not subscribed to my to my other channel, KOI, make sure that you guys go out and subscribe to that channel. That's a backup channel. Okay. And that's the channel where I do a lot of my major teachings at, you know what I'm saying, as far as Israelite teachings, scriptural and biblical teachings. Okay. So make sure you guys go over there and subscribe. We got some major things that's coming up through the ministry and this work that we're doing. Okay. And it's gonna affect Israelites all throughout this nation. Okay. So this is why we got to continue to keep building the platform up, continue to keep building the presence. And the things that we're getting ready to do is going, like I said, it's going to be biblical. It's going to be unheard within a lot of these different camps that people follow. Okay, so let's see here.
Yeah, these people, man, with the algorithm and stuff, man. They trying to suppress that truth. Let me see. Let me share this. Mm. So we're gonna give everybody a few more minutes to get on in here, about 5 more minutes, and then we're gonna take off. About 5 more minutes. All right, so about 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes. Yeah, we finna go in tonight. We finna go all the way in tonight. This gonna be the one. All right. So make sure y'all share the link. Go ahead, share the link, and we finna get into it. Let me see here. Let me share this on. Hmm. Man, these people playing like a mug, man. I gotta let me see. Get this shared on Facebook real quick. All right. All right. So about a few more minutes, So y'all go ahead, get the word out. Let everybody know that we live. We get ready to take off here in about a couple more minutes. Couple more minutes. Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me? All right. Make sure what about now? Can y'all hear me? All right, all right. So yeah, as y'all coming in, make sure that y'all subscribe to the channel. This is the only way y'all gonna be able to get into the chat. Get this out there. The machine is working against me. They not trying to help me because they know that the demonstration I'm getting ready to put down tonight is gonna be biblical. You know what I'm saying? So it's finna be we finna go all the way in. Okay. So um make sure you guys are subscribed to my other channel, my backup channel. That way, if something happens to this channel, if you go to Israelite Talk TV at the bottom of the page, I have another page where I do all my Israelite lessons on. Okay, so just understand on this particular channel, I'm really just kind of addressing a lot of the different things within the community that we should already be addressing. You know what I'm saying? According to Isaiah 59. As a matter of fact, let me go get my book real quick. Hold on. So yeah, when you go into the book of Isaiah chapter 59, it helps us to understand that we ought to cry loud and spare not. So you know, a lot of people have a lot of people have this attitude where it's just like okay, okay. But a lot of people have this attitude where it's just like, you know, let them do what they doing. And nah, you know, as Israelites, those are our people, you know, in them trenches, you know, that's losing their lives and you know where all this wicked stuff is going on. So you got to understand that when you look at the book of the prophets, this was the most high Yahweh was sending the prophets to those that was in the land that was corrupt. And this is our job. You know what I'm saying? This is why when you look in the community, you got all these churches on every block and they can't get nothing done. And that's because they ain't been sent to get it done. You know what I'm saying? So you know what I mean? So yeah, so that's what's going on. This is our job, you know what I'm saying? So on this channel, I'm going to be addressing a lot of the different topics that we see out here going on with our people because we are under the subjection of paid media. And so these people are paid to push different points, you know, regardless if they like them or not, because they're getting paid to do so. So we got to stand up against this stuff and fight back, and we have to start working together. You know what I'm saying? And we work together by, you know what I'm saying, making sure that we sticking together and we, you know what I'm saying, we not being so envious against one another because, you know, the time is coming where we all gonna be straight. You know what I mean? A lot of people are not reading the prophecy, so they don't know and understand why these people are oppressing us the way they're oppressing us. You know what I'm saying? So now let's go and get into the message real quick, okay? And we'll just take off from there. Okay. So now we're getting ready to get into this message that I have titled The End of White Supremacy. Okay. And this is going to be a very powerful demonstration that I'm getting ready to put down because you know, it's getting ready to free some people and it's getting ready to elevate our people to a whole nother level when you begin to understand a lot of these different points that I'm getting ready to expound on concerning, you know, the Israelites here in this nation. It's a few reasons why the Most High has moved me to do this particular message, you know, tonight. One of those reasons is being that, you know, anytime race come up, it's like it's a big taboo. Nobody wants to talk about it. You know, a lot of times, you know, you get um Europeans that come out, and it's like, well, why, you know, and they're always on the defense anytime anything with race comes up, you know what I'm saying? And so it's like, you know, if anybody should be mad, it should be us. We the one that's been getting oppressed for over 400 some years, you know, here in this nation. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I don't know what people be mad about or what the big deal is, but what I'm getting ready to teach you is that Europeans are the one that has created these race boundaries. You know what I'm saying? They are the ones that have created it, and they create it everywhere that they go around the world. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that is very deceptive for them to create these boundaries and then turn around and say, oh, well, it's not about race, it's not about this and that, when you are the ones who have created this stuff. It doesn't come from us. You know what I'm saying? We're just being subjected to it, you know what I'm saying, because of, you know, what the commandments state. The other thing is, we got to know and understand that when we read the book of Deuteronomy 28, to those of you out there that know that we are Israelites, okay, what does Deuteronomy 28 bring out? It helps us to understand that when we go into captivity, the Father let us know that we will be sold and given into the hands of our enemies. Okay. So this is something that we got to understand, that these people are not our friends, that they are our enemies, and they're going to always stay one up on you regardless of what people think, you know what I'm saying? And they use people like Martin Luther King in order to push, you know what I'm saying, certain agendas. Anytime you see them bigging a black person up, an Israelite up, you have to understand that there's always some behind that, because they don't do that just to be given credit. You know what I'm saying? Because if that was the case, they would give Israelites credit all through the nation for everything that they have done. You know what I'm saying? This nation wouldn't be founded if it wasn't for Israelites. You know what I'm saying? George Washington used Israelites in order to help him win the battle against Great Britain. You know what I'm saying? So these are things that people don't understand. And it's like, after everything that Israelites have done, it's just like people are still ungrateful. Okay. Now, let me say this: even though Tanakh brings out that these particular individuals are our enemies, that does not mean that we ought to go out and disrespect people and things like that. No, we're still to be respectful and humane to people, but it's important for us to understand what's going on, because in order to move ahead, you have to understand the past. Okay. Now, the other reason why I'm finna go in is because I got these false prophets, right? That's attempting to try to go against a lesson that I taught a few years ago on my other channel, where I taught the brothers and sisters that the Europeans come from Cain. They're the offspring of Cain. Okay. And I'm coming back tonight and I'm doubling down on that. And I'm coming with straight facts. And you know what? I'm gonna use all European sources in order to prove this. Okay. People have to go into the Bible because they don't understand what happened in the beginning. So they have to try to fit pieces into the puzzle, not knowing and understanding that they theories on what happened in the beginning is not adding up. I'm taking the raw material of what's there in the book. Like, people say, oh, well, the father made more people in the beginning, or Cain went to Adam, one of his daughters, and got the child. That's a lie. Tanakh don't teach that. So I'm coming back tonight and I'm finna double down and I'm finna prove to you guys that the white man comes from Cain. Okay, he's the offspring of Cain. Okay, so now let's get into it. Right now, let me share my screen real quick. Let me share my screen real quick. All right, let's see here. Boom. All right. All right, right. Let's see. How can I? Let me see. Let's see here. All right, look like we had some difficulties right there. Let me hide this real quick. Give me one sec. All right, here we go. I'm almost getting familiar with it. Almost. All right, let's get it. Okay, there we go. All right. So yeah, please smash up them likes and let's get the word out there, because I'm getting ready to go in. Y'all see what's going on. Hey, please smash up them likes, because they not doing no helping, because they know this is going to be biblical tonight. Okay. So now what we looking at here, right? okay, is a little article from the believe this is the Britannica, where this is the Constitution. Okay, now the Constitution was created back in like 1787 and it's been in operation since 1789. Okay, now why is this important to understand? It's important to understand this because today you would notice how our so-called black representatives that go before the people and are out trying to I guess politic on our behalf, they waste their time with this constitution. Okay, and we've been running into problems with this constitution for years because people do not understand that the constitution here in this nation was not made for Israelites. Okay, it was not made for black people here in this nation. Okay, and this is why they don't follow the constitution whenever it comes down to Israelites in different situations here in this nation. And this is important to understand because when you understand what I'm getting ready to teach you today, you getting ready to understand why Israelites are going through what they are going through in this nation. Okay. Now let's jump to the next slide, right? Let me see here. Let me get it here. Hold on, what are they doing now? Let's see. I don't know why. Let me see. What did I do here? Let me see. So now it doesn't want me to go to the next screen. What is going on here? All right, let me do this. Stop that. Bear with me, bear with me, bear with me, bear with me. Boy, we get ready to go in. Let me see what's going on here. Okay, let's do that. All right. Okay. All right. So what we're looking at here, right, my brothers and sisters, is that this is a link, or I mean a screenshot of the slave laws of 1660. Now, this is before the actual the Constitution. Okay. So now if we look at it, because when we want to go back and try to figure some stuff out, we have to look at the laws, because the laws will tell us a whole lot about what was going on at that time period, because um they're not going to enact laws if it's not a problem. Okay. Now, when you look up here at the law of 1660, this is before the Constitution, right? In Virginia, right? Because each state already had laws in place before the Constitution was made. Okay, that came, you know what I'm saying, later up the road. You know what I'm saying, after the United States basically broke away from Great Britain, right? So now, if you look at 1660, when slavery basically first started here in this country in Virginia, right? Okay, because this is where our people are coming in at. If we look here, right, it says this law indicate what it is English running away with Negroes. So basically, what it is, it's a law in place for Negroes running around with running away with off with blacks. Now, what I want you to understand, right, because this is what I'm also getting ready to teach you, you have to grasp that there are two different distinct type of Europeans that's here in this nation. Okay, you have those who I call the the bottom tier Europeans, right? These are those who have been forced to basically integrate with us, those that have been forced into like into the metros with us and are forced and have been forced to deal with us. You know what I'm saying? And these are the people that, I'm not gonna say all of them, but some of these people are white people that are not racist, okay, because they have been forced to deal with blacks and other people in different from different backgrounds because they have been pushed into the metros, right? These are your low tier, your bottom tier Europeans. But then you have those that sit at the top, and these are the ones that are the problems. These are your judges, your Supreme Court justices, the lawmakers, your senators, like the Tommy Tubervilles, you know what I'm saying? These type of people, you know what I'm saying? Those that are over the big corporations. This is a whole different, distinct group of people, okay? Because these Europeans, their ideology and concepts are not the same as the low tier or the bottom tier as I would classify them, okay? And they use the low tier, the bottom tier Europeans in order to wear us down. Because whenever you start hearing chatter, oh, it's not about race, it's not about this and that, I don't waste my time entertaining that, because 9 times out of 10, these people probably are not racist, but at the same time, they can't get nothing done. You see what I'm saying? They don't control and possess the pocketbook. They can't go to the Supreme Court and say, you guys need to do this or do that for what you did to these particular people through slavery. They can't do that. So, you know what I'm saying? They're not effective. You know, they can't get nothing done. So we don't waste time with the people that can't get nothing done, because we know, yeah, 9 times out of 10, you're not racist, but the people that are, you can't, you know what I'm saying? You can't get nothing done with them. So we don't entertain that, and we don't get lost in that, knowing and understanding that, because these type of people will wear us down with pointless arguments and like, you know, and probably they're not, but they don't have the power to get nothing done. Okay. So now let's get back into this thing. So now this is a law that was enacted, like I said, in 1660 for white people, the English running away with Negroes. Now they have a note up here that says this law indicate that some African and their descendants were not servants for life. However, if an indentured servant ran away with a black person who was considered a servant for life, the white servant had to serve additional time to compensate a master or masters for his or her the absence of the black individual. So what you got to understand is that already going back to 1660, we can see that there was never any equality. Okay, you had blacks that were slaves, and then you had whites that were slaves. But the whites that were slaves were indentured servants. These was different types of slaves. You see what I'm saying? And so what they were basically serving and doing was different from what we were doing. Okay. And so what was going on is that these particular individuals are the ones that dealt with the blacks. You see what I'm saying? With the Israelites. And so once again, this is what I'm showing you: 2 different distinct groups of Europeans, those that dealt with the blacks and those that were against those dealing with the blacks. They began to institute these laws. Okay. Now listen to what it says right here. It says, be it enacted that in case any English servant shall run away in company with Negroes who are capable of making satisfaction by additional time, be it enacted that the English shall running away in company with them shall serve for the time of the said Negroes absent, as they are to do for their own by a former act. So when you kind of go through here, it kind of breaks down, you know what I'm saying, what they, you know, basically, you know, the law and what they would do if they ran off. Now, what I want to show you guys is let me get back over here. When we jump over here to 1640, okay? Now, mind you, this is before the before the Constitution, okay? Now listen to this. You had an Israelite slave that ran off, right? And this Israelite slave was a slave known as John Punch. And I want to show you this Israelite was sentenced to life on July 9th, 1640. Okay. Now listen to this. It says, whereas Hugh Gwynn has by order from this board brought back from Maryland 3 servants formerly run away from the said Gwynn, The court does therefore order that the said 3 servants shall receive the punishment of whipping and to have 30 stripes apiece, one called Vidor, a Dutchman, the other a Scotchman called James Gregory, shall serve out their time with their masters according to their indentures, and 1 whole year apiece after the time of their service is expired by their said indentures in recompense of his loss sustained by their absence, and after that service to their said master is expired, to serve the colony for 3 whole years apiece, and that the third, being a Negro named John Punch, shall serve life. Shall serve his said matter. They got this broken English on here, or his of fame for the time of his natural life and elsewhere. So basically, this is the first time we see an Israelite being sentenced to life on the plantation to serve these Europeans. Now, the thing that you have to understand is that, once again, going all the way back to 1640, before any constitution or anything, we can see that there was no justice, you know what I'm saying, for Israelites. Okay, no justice, no equality, none of that stuff. So you had 3 servants that ran away. They was to get whooped, you know what I'm saying, 30 whips along with John Punch, and then they would serve out basically 4 years, the 1 year plus the 3, but then he was sentenced to life. Okay, so this is what you got to understand when we look at this time. They want the labor from us, you know what I'm saying. They want to keep us working because this is how they make money. Okay, now let's keep it mobbing. Now right here, okay, this is something else, because now remember, if you look, and guys can look this up in the Virginia law. Hold on, I'm getting beside myself. What in the world? Let me see. Okay, hold on. This thing just don't want to act right. Do it. Oh my goodness. Let's do this. So my screen share messing up. Don't want to act right. Man, stop it. Oh my goodness. Let's see here. Let's do this. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Man, you gotta be kidding me. Gotta be kidding me. Let's see here. Boom. All right, let's try this again. All right, okay. So now we back. All right, we back at it. Okay, so here we go. Okay. Now, so as we're going back now, this is what I want to show you. Okay, because the first thing that I'm getting ready to do through the first part is I want to show you that racism here in this nation was started by Europeans. Okay, So it's not, this wasn't started by black people, but rather it was started by white people. And this is what I'm getting ready to show you before we destroy it. You know what I'm saying? Now, once again, we looking here at the act in 1670. Okay, the act of 1670, right, in Virginia, right? Listen what it says now. It says no Negro or Indians to buy Christian servants. Okay. Now listen what it says right here. It says where it has been questioned whether Indians or Negroes united. Now, basically, what that means, they use these funny words. Basically, that means free. Basically, means free or otherwise free could be capable of purchasing Christian servants. It is enacted that no Negro or Indian, though baptized and enjoy their own freedom, should be capable of any such purchase of Christians, but yet not debarred from buying any of their own. Now let's stop right there. Okay. Now this is in the law books in Virginia now, right? Okay. And this is how we fact check to find out what's what. Now it's a lot of meat on this bone right here, right? That we need to understand. The first thing is that, do you see what the law say? It shows you that when Israelites first came into this nation, they were not Christians. That's number one. Okay. This came out of England. Our people was not serving no Christianity where we came from. Okay. This is law. You know what I'm saying? These are their laws. And this is how we know what it is. The other thing is that it said blacks and Indians. Okay. Now, of course, I know a lot of y'all have watched Dan Calloway, right? And I'm getting ready to bust that Indian doctrine up. People running around talking about that we are the Aboriginals and all of this other stuff. That's a lie. You know what I'm saying? What happens is people get lost in the sauce. When you go into Tanakh, it tells us that the Father will send us to a land where our people did not know, or the tongue they did not know. Meaning that here in this nation, we are not originally from here. You know what I'm saying? But see, because information is not taught properly, you know what I'm saying? People get lost. We are not Indians. Now, Israelites have dealt with Indians, and I'm gonna bust the Indian lie up because there's some stuff that's going on right now concerning what's going on with that. But I'm gonna save that for another lesson, okay? Because all of these nations and all of these people have confederated against the nation of Israel, and I'm gonna bust that up real soon. But what I'm trying to point out here, right? What I want you guys to get is that it's showing us in the law that even though you had those that were free, that was Israelites, they were not equal to Europeans at all. They did not see you as equal. Okay. And what they're saying is you can't, even though you free and you got money, you cannot buy any white slaves or servants. You know what I'm saying? But you can buy all yours, all you want. And this is why when you look into society today, and every time something happens and you see these house Negroes come out, this is why they do it. Because it's okay for you to jump on your own kind and do this and that. But when they come to Europeans, no. That's off that's off limits. You see what I'm saying? Let's understand that. And this is where it comes from. It was started way before the whatchamacallit was wrote. Okay. Now let's keep it mobbing. Okay. So there's no equality in this or none of that. Now we're getting ready to get to it. Okay. Now, what I want you guys to do is you can go look this up online, right? And this is the slave code, because you had, but before the Constitution, you had what was known as the slave codes, but then it eventually morphed into the Jim Crow law, the Jim Crow era or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? But right here, this is the slave code of District Columbia of the 1800s. Okay. Now, mind you, this is after the Constitution has been put in place. Okay. Let's understand that. This is after the Constitution has been put in place. Now, I want you guys to understand this, and you can look this up online and go to their digital library, right? But now let's look at something real quick. Okay. Now, let's get into this right here, because this right here is going to be powerful. Now, listen what this says right here. And this is in the law. This is in their law books. Okay. So this ain't just some, you know what I'm saying, people, man, y'all, we ain't, this is in their law books. These are laws, okay? Now listen to what it says right here. It says a slave is a human being who is by law deprived of his or her liberty for life and is the prosperity of another, okay? Now listen what's in their laws, because this is what those people at the top are taught. Your Supreme Court justices and the lawmakers, this is what they're taught right here. Okay. So this is what you have to understand. Now, listen what it says here. A slave is a human being who, by law, deprived of his or her liberty for life and is the property of another. A slave, listen to this, a slave has no political rights and generally has no civil rights. When the fact of slavery is clear, the nature of relation of master and slave admits no modification, nor will courts either or by law or equality land and is the attempts of an individual to graft upon it. Okay. It goes on to say a slave cannot become politically free. The law, listen to this. It says the law recognized only freedom on the one side and slavery on the other. There is no intermediate status. Okay. Now listen to this. Get back over here. Now listen to this right here. It says, and I want you guys to pay close attention. And this is right. Y'all can go look this up. It's right there. Now listen to what it's saying. It says, a free Negro of the African race whose ancestor was brought to this country and sold as slaves is not a citizen. So listen to what they're saying in their books after the Constitution is wrote. This is what these people are taught in high places. They're telling you that you are not a citizen of this nation. Okay, now listen to this. It says within the meanings of the Constitution of the United States. So they're telling you, going all the way back to the 1800s, after the Constitution was put in place, that you are not a citizen of the United States. And this Constitution is not for you. You know what I'm saying? Listen what it says here. Listen to this. This is powerful. It says when the Constitution was adopted, they were not regarded in any of the states as members of the community. Oh my goodness, do you see this? This is in their law books. Listen, which constituted the state and were not numbered among its people or citizens. Consequently, the special rights and immunity guarded to citizens do not apply to them. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, man. Didn't I tell you that we was finna go in? Didn't I just tell y'all that we was finna go in, man? Listen what I'm showing you. It's right here in the law books. So what they're telling you is that when all of this stuff was created, it wasn't created for you. So when people are out here marching for doing all this stuff, it's being done in vain because the people that sit at the top that control the rules, the courts, the money, and all of this stuff, the top tier Europeans, they don't have the same ideology and concepts that those at the bottom have. See, the people at the bottom can't get nothing done, so we don't waste our time with that, knowing and understanding that. You see what I'm saying? So now let's keep mobbing through here, okay? Now listen to this. It says the only two classes in the Constitution which points to this race treats them as a person whom it was morally lawful to deal in as articles of property and to hold as slaves. So they telling us that the only thing in the Constitution that pertain to you is the articles of property. You are property. You know what I'm saying? All of this stuff about we citizens and all this other stuff, that don't apply to you, is what they telling you. Okay. Now let's keep it mobbing. Okay. So now let's jump up to around 1865. Okay, so now this is after. Now this is after the after the Constitution was wrote, and it's also after the days and times of the Civil War. Okay, so now around 1865, after the civil rights and stuff was over with, war was over with, they start to try to switch things up. And so what happens is the Ku Klux Klan was then created after that. Okay. And so as you see here, here's a book, and you can go to the Jim Crow library here at Fair State University, and you can look at all of these old books. But it tells us here in 1905, Dixon published his most popular novel, The Klansman. In this book, he describes blacks as half child and half animal. Okay. So what am I showing you here? I'm showing you that that Europeans has created these racial barriers. Okay. It's not blacks. You know what I'm saying? So whenever people are getting mad and all this other stuff when this topic come up, I don't know why, because they're the ones who created it. You know what I'm saying? So now let's keep it mobbing here. Okay. So now the thing that I want you guys to understand is what was the purpose of the Klan? Okay. So now I'm going to read this article, but it basically tells us that it says the group gained members from the South to South white society. They used violent intimidation to prevent Black Americans and any white people who supported Reconstruction from voting and holding political offices. So now basically the Klan was created in order to deter Black people from voting or trying to come into power or trying to do any of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Which would basically make them equal with them. As you hear people marching and saying, we need to be equal in this and that. This was the whole purpose of the Klan, to deter. And they did that by all means necessary, killing and all type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? But the purpose is they don't want blacks to be in any type of position of power. You know what I'm saying? Just as you see today. You know what I'm saying? Now let's keep mobbing. Okay. So now we slide all the way up to 1870, right? The Jim Crow laws. Okay. And I'm just kind of moving through this kind of fast for time purposes. You know what I'm saying? But at any rate, we clearly see that the Jim Crow laws emerged between 1870, between 1965, before before the civil rights movement. Okay. So basically, let me see here, make sure. All right. So anyway, so let's keep mobbing here. So what we see here now is that the Jim Crow laws emerge. And so what I did here is I got a few signs here and stuff like this that you guys can look at. And once again, you can go to the Jim Crow library online and you can look at all of this. But at any rate, we can see where the signs and stuff start popping up, color served in the rear, white passages. You know what I'm saying? And let me just go over some of these. So we can see here that down in Mississippi, they were saying that it shall be unlawful for a Negro and a white person to play together or in company with each other in any game of cards or dice, dominoes, or checkers. So what do we see here? This is something that's coming from Europeans. This is not coming from Black people. You know what I'm saying? So once again, they're creating these boundaries, and then they're sitting here and they're playing like, you know what I'm saying? like why is it all about race? Well, why are y'all trying to use mind control techniques, understanding and knowing that you guys are the ones that created these barriers? So this is coming from white people. This is not coming from Black people. You know what I'm saying? And also, we can see down here that it says that promotion of equality. Any person who shall be guilty of printing, publishing, or circulating printed, typewritten, or written matter, using or presenting for public acceptance or general information, arguments, or suggestion in favor of social equality or of intermarriage between whites and Negroes shall be guilty of a misdemeanor and subject to fine or not exceed $500 of imprisonment, not exceeding 6 months, or both. So once again, what are they doing here? They're creating boundaries and they're using the law in order to do this. They're basically saying if you get caught promoting any of this stuff, now think about this, because this is during the time when the Constitution, after the Constitution was wrote. So even then, it wasn't a real freedom of speech, because if you got caught promoting any of that stuff, they was gonna look out for you. You know what I'm saying? They had laws in place. So even back then, they wasn't following that stuff. And even today, they do the same exact thing when they want to push these different narratives. They quiet people, just like our people are being quiet and silence today. This is where it comes from. They've been doing this. You see what I'm saying? So now let's keep it mobbing here. Okay. Uh Now, when we look at the housing, okay, when we look at the housing here, one of the things that we see here is what? In Louisiana, you know what I'm saying? Any person who shall rent any part of the building to a Negro person or a Negro family when such a building is already in whole or in part of occupancy by a white person or a white family, or vice versa, when the building is in occupancy by a Negro person or a Negro family, shall be guilty of a misdemeanor, and on conviction thereof shall be punished by a fine of not less than $25 nor more than $100, or be imprisonment not less 10 or more than 60 days. So right now, what are we seeing here? We seeing how they're using the courts in order to enforce racism. So they are the originators. They are the origin of this stuff. You see what I'm saying? So now, if you see here, I got a sign up here, right? That's basically showing how in Los Angeles in the 1950s that it says what? This track is exclusive and restricted. Okay. So at any rate, what we seeing here is discrimination within the housing. And it's the same thing today. You know what I'm saying? There's an account where was that at? It just happened where these Israelites was suing because the people were playing with the numbers on their house. They basically put a lower number on there, and then when they showed it to white people, they put a higher number on it. You know what I'm saying? So that case is in court right now. So yeah, so that also was going on. Okay, so now let's keep it mobbing. Okay, now this right here. Now I'm finna get into some of the juicy stuff. So now we're going to look at cohabitation, because what Virginia did back in 1682, they started to enact laws where they didn't want blacks and whites mingling together. Okay. And so if you look here on the far left side, there's a magazine, and you can go to the Jim Crow museum and see it. But this is something that they had put out. Okay. And I'm showing you they are the ones that created racism. So if you look at the magazine that was out back during this time period in 1893, what does it say? Is the man Negro, the girl white, the payoff lynch. So what I'm also getting ready to show you now, as we kind of start getting to the enemy, actually showing you them being the originators of racism, is that they did not want black men sleeping with white women. This was a big no-no back then. So they did everything in their power to deter that. You know what I'm saying? And it also goes on to teach how they use the rape line in order to lynch a lot of people, just like you see with Edmund Till. You know what I'm saying? In that particular situation. So you got to understand that this is the origin. I'm taking you back to the origin. Okay. So now, if we look here at Florida, okay, and all you got to do is just look up the slave codes, and you can find all of this stuff, right? But anyway, it lets us know that down in Florida, any Negro and a white woman, or any white man and Negro woman who are not married to each other, who shall habitually live in occupancy in the nighttime, the same room, shall each be punishment by the imprisonment not exceeding 12 months and the fine not exceeding $500. Okay. Now, if we look at what Virginia enacted back in 1682, it says, and for further prevention of that abominable mixture and spurious issue, which hereafter may increase in this her majesty's colony and dominion, as well by English and other white men and women intermarrying with Negroes or mulattoes, as by their unlawful coercion with them, be it enacted by the authority aforesaid, and it is hereby enacted that whatsoever English or other white man or woman being free shall intermarry with a Negro or a mulatto man or woman, bond or free, shall by judgment of the court be committed to prison, and there remain during the space of 6 months without bail, main prize, and shall forfeit and pay £10 current money of Virginia to the use of the parishes as aforesaid. So the churches, they were in on this and they use it. This is why when you look now, you can see how when people are getting married, they can go do it through the church. See, the church was in on this same stuff. You know what I'm saying? And so this is the origin of the marriage license, okay? Because they enacted the marriage license in order to try to keep a tab on black and white marriages. You know what I'm saying? So so yeah, let's keep it mobbing here. Okay. So now this kind of goes into it where it says in Maryland, also governed by law, where the liturgy used in the ceremony, race, and relationship of parties, and recording of the ceremony. A 1664 law prohibited marriage between white women and black men. This act remained in effect for over 300 years and finally repealed in 1967. So they did not want black men marrying white women. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So so yeah. So you guys can read that, and let's keep it mobbing. All right, so now we get to the one drop rule. Okay, so now when we look down here in Alabama, okay, in the 1930s, one of the things that I got up here, and this part up here in Birmingham, Alabama, 1930, is from another article. It's just copied and pasted up here, but it's letting you know that marriages are void when one party is a white person and the other is possessed of 1/8 or more Negro, Japanese, or Chinese blood. Okay. Now, when we look here in Arkansas, okay, back in 1911, right, they passed a law called Act 320, House Bill 79, known as the one drop rule. This law had two goals. It made interracial cohabitation a felony, and it defined as Negro anyone who has any Negro blood whatsoever, thus relegating to second class citizenship anyone accused of having any African ancestry. Okay. So you guys can read this, but basically, just to kind of sum everything up, they put this one drop rule in place in order to deter whites from marrying in with blacks. Okay. This is the whole reason why they did this. Okay. So what I'm showing you here, and what I have been showing you for the last hour, is that Europeans are the one who have put up and set up these race barriers. It does not come from blacks. You know what I'm saying? It does not come from Israelites. You know what I'm saying? Now, let's keep it mobbing. Okay, so now we getting ready to get into the meat of this thing now. Okay. So now right here, we can see, because now when you go back and you look and you see how they had back in slavery time, they had created this one drop rule, right? Basically saying that if you had, you know what I'm saying, one drop of black blood and you're black, you know what I'm saying? And they was promoting this this race, this white race that they say is supreme or superior. Okay. But now if we look at an article going back to 2017, here's a guy, Craig Cobb, that is you know what I'm saying, basically white supremacist. Okay. Now listen what the article says, and you guys can go look it up at Stat News. It says in the South, the infamous one drop rule was once employed during the Jim Crow era to classify African American as anyone who had one drop of African blood. Had there been DNA testing during that time, the segregated South would have looked quite different, since we all know that some who identify as primary white actually have some African ancestry as well. Okay, so now what we're getting ready to get into, and what I'm getting ready to teach you, is that when you guys go back, when you go back and you look at uh, 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 the DNA now that they're taking, they know that these white people have black ancestry within their blood. You know what I'm saying? This is what you got. This is what you got to understand. Okay. It's coming out now. They know this, and there's no getting around this. You see what I'm saying? So this guy that was part of this white supremacy ideology or concept found out that he has African ancestry. You know what I'm saying? Now let's keep going. Okay. Because now this guy right here, Jane Watson, this is a co-founder of DNA. You know what I'm saying? This whole program, right? Now listen what it says, right? So back in 2017, it says the co-discoverer of DNA who claimed in October that black Africans are less intelligent than whites is himself 16% African. That claim comes from a Icelandic genomic company which analyzed Watson's genomes publicly available online. But aren't we all of African descent? How can you tell that someone is exactly 60% of one origin? So this is what people got to understand. So now we're getting into the meat of this thing, where the same people that promoted racism and wanted you to believe that they were the superior race, the DNA is now showing that they also have black ancestry, because everybody in the earth today, regardless if you black, you white, you Chinese, you whatever it is, all come from a black person, a black man, and a black woman. Okay, this is STEM. This is not even up for debate anymore. You know what I'm saying? So now let's keep it mobbing. Okay. So now let's look at this. Now we're looking at this article, and this was published by ABC back in 2009, right? Now listen what it says here. It says Africans have more genetic variations than anyone else on Earth, according to a new study that helps narrow the location where humans first evolved, probably near South Africa, Namibia border. The largest study of African genetics ever undertaken also found that nearly 3/4 of African Americans can trace their ancestry to West Africa. The new analyst published Thursday on the online edition of Journal Science. Okay. So they came out and they admitted in 2009 that Africans have more genetic variations than anyone else on the earth. Okay. So what you have to understand is that when they say, okay, we're all equal, we this and that, this is not what the facts is showing. You see what I'm saying? Now, and this is not coming from me. I'm just presenting the information. You know what I'm saying? Now, let's keep it mobbing here. It also goes on to say that the human genome describes the complexity of our species, added Munster Ibrahim of the Department of Molecular Biology at the University of Khartoum, Sudan. Okay. And I apologize if I'm not pronouncing that stuff correctly. Now, listen what he's saying right here. Now we have spectacular insight into the history of the African population, the oldest history of mankind. Everybody's history is part of African history because everybody came out of Africa. Okay. So this is what we got to understand. All of this talk about the Israelites ain't this, the blacks ain't wooty wooty woo. The same people that's saying that black people ain't this, or their race is about black people, they come from black people. You come from black people. Black people is the originators, the original. So how can you be racist or mad about somebody that you come from? Okay, this is what we got to understand. Now, let's keep it mobbing here. Okay, now this is an article from 2018. Okay, in Science News, right? Listen what it says here. Scientists are sure that the Homo sapien first evolved in Africa. And we know that every person alive today can trace their genetic ancestry to there. Okay. Every person alive today comes from Africa. Okay. Let's stop playing games here. You know what I'm saying? It says, listen, the global scientific community overwhelmingly accepts that all living humans are of African descent. Most scientific articles about our African origin focus on genetics. The part of the story that is not widely shared is about the creation of human culture. We are all descended genetically and also culturally from dark skinned ancestors. Okay. And this goes for everybody. Okay. Everybody. Okay. And this ain't coming from me. This is coming from Europeans. They're telling you that everybody come from black people. You know what I'm saying? Now, let's keep in mind here. Okay. Now we getting ready to get into some news here. Now, when you look up this sister, okay, Lapita Nyong, and I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. You know what I'm saying? Beautiful black sister. Now, this sister right here is a actress, and her father is basically her parents were politicians, I believe, down in Mexico. You know what I'm saying? But she's originally from Kenya. Okay. Now, let me see here. Uh-oh, here we go. Here we go again. Here we go again. Here we go again. This thing just don't want to act right for nothing. The enemy is at work. The enemy is at work. All right, hold on. Give me 1 second. Okay, here we go. Here we go. All right, here we go. All right. So anyway, it brings out right that it says the most recent episode on November 17th revealed a discovery never before seen on the program, and confirmed that many scientists have been stating for years that not only did today's humankind begin in Africa, but that all humankind is born and descended from a black woman, i.e., an African woman. Okay. So everybody in the earth comes from a black ancestor because Adam and Eve were both black. Now listen to what it's saying right here. It says the Oscar-winning internationally accomplished actress Lupita Nyong'o, who hails directly from Kenya, East Africa, and is of the Luo ethnic group, is the only guest to be dated and no is the only guest to date invited to the show who carries DNA from the oldest maternal haplogroup called the mitochondrial Eve. Okay, the Eve gene. In other words, her East African DNA revealed her to be the closest and direct descendant of the woman that all of humankind is descended from, who happens to be an African woman, as we know from scientific findings that no other human beings were alive outside of Africa at this time. Okay, now this is coming from science. This ain't coming from me. This is straight coming from Europeans. They telling you that the first people on earth was black. You know what I'm saying? So if all these Europeans are coming from the black man and the black woman, where's the superiority in that? You know what I'm saying? Where is it at? If you descend from the black man, then how can you be superior to something that this is where you coming from? You see what I'm saying? All life comes from the black man and the black woman, man. It's stamped, man. They telling you this. You know what I'm saying? And you can go look her up online. You know what I'm saying? It's there. You know what I'm saying? So let's keep it mobbing here. You know what I'm saying? Now, listen to this, okay? And this was in Science News back in 2013. Now, listen to what this says. It says an extreme rare African American, okay? Meaning here in America, an extremely rare African American Y chromosome found in an individual who submitted his DNA to a company specializing in DNA analyze analysts to trace family roots pushes back the time of the most recent common ancestor of the Y chromosome lineage tree to 338,000 years ago. Okay. So now, moving right along, we look at another article here in newscientist.com back in 2007. Now, listen to what it's saying here. It says gene tests on a sample of indigenous Englishmen have thrown up a surprise black ancestry, providing new insight into a century old African presence in Britain. Okay. And it goes on to basically tell you that when they trace their DNA back, it basically shows that it says identified a rare West African Y chromosome in a group of men from Yorkshire who share a surname that dates back to at least as far as the mid 14th century. Okay, so once again, what are we seeing here? We seeing here that once again Europeans come from black people. Okay. They come from blacks. You know what I'm saying? So all of this stuff about race and you being racist and all this other stuff, how can you be? Now we getting ready to get into some more. We getting ready, man. We finna get in there. We finna get down through there. Okay. I ain't playing. Okay. Now this guy right here is a Neanderthal. Okay. Now this guy right here, you can look him up. He's known as Cheddar Man. Okay. Now listen what it says. It says the genomes of Cheddar Man who lived 10,000 years ago suggest that he had blue eyes and dark skin and curly hair. So now what you got to understand is that now we getting ready to kind of get into the meat of this thing. You know what I'm saying? They found this Neanderthal, right? And Cheddar George. That's how he got his name, Cheddar Man. You know what I'm saying? He was found in Cheddar George. And they also been finding these Neanderthals all through Europe in the caves. They just found some in man, where was that at? I was just reading that. Where they just found the whole family over there in Europe in the cave of these Neanderthals, right? And so what they're saying is when they found this Neanderthal, they was like, man, they was like, they thought he was a white person, you know what I'm saying? But then the DNA is showing that it was a man of color, and this is the image that they created. But listen what it says here. It was initially assumed that Cheddar Man had pale skin and fair hair, but his DNA paints a different picture, strongly suggesting he had blue eyes, very dark brown to black complexion, and curly hair. You know what I'm saying? It says the discovery shows that the genes for the lighter skin became widespread in European populations far later than originally thought, and that skin color was not always a proxy for geographic origin in the way it is often seen to be today. Now, I'm getting ready to also explain to you why they ended up in the mountains into these different places where they're finding this stuff at, right? Now, let's keep it mobbing, okay? Now, if you look here, this is all the way in Africa, okay, where as I explained to you, whenever whatever countries they go into where there's blacks at, they set up these barriers. So if you look here in South Africa, you had these people known as the Afrikaners. These are white people, you know what I'm saying? And if you look, you can see the sign here, whites only. But to make a long story short, and you can look this up in Course Africa on this particular article, but they found out that these same Europeans over here that had these signs up, whites only, and all this other stuff, are black too. They have black ancestry in them too. You know what I'm saying? Simple as that. Now, Here's another article from February 20th, 2015, right? Now, listen what it says right here. It says many Americans who call themselves white might be surprised to find out that they have some African ancestry, especially in the South. So you can look up this. You can look up this online and pull this up. But when you look throughout the entire United States, some are darker than other, but all through the United States, in every state where Europeans are at, they have African ancestry in their bodies because they come from Africa. You know what I'm saying? Simple as that. You know what I'm saying? So let's keep it mobbing, man. So what I'm showing you is that how do you have a group of people that's running around saying that they are supreme, or you hear about the white supremacy group when they are what there's nothing supreme about them. You come from black people. There is no such thing as a pure white race. It doesn't exist. You know what I'm saying? And here's another article right here that you can go look up on Griot that was published in 2014. It says researchers examined 145,000 DNA samples provided to genetics testing company 23andMe for ancestry analysts. They have now determined that at least 6 million Americans who call themselves white had at least 1% African ancestry. Come on, man. Let's stop playing games here. Now I'm getting ready to bust it up now. Okay. Now I'm getting ready to bust it up because this dude, this false prophet, okay, running around talking about he's Yahoo human vessel, tried to challenge me on this stuff, right? And was saying, oh, the father didn't make any Neanderthal race. There's only one race and this and that and da 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 da. I'm finna kill that noise once again tonight. Now, when you go here, you can go look at the Smithsonian. You can go to their website, right? They have these Neanderthal bones that they have found from a creature, a being that has existed. Now, listen what they say here. Okay. This is not my words. This is their words. Okay. Don't get mad at the messenger. Get mad at the people that's putting out the information. I'm just reiterating. It says Neanderthal are our closest extinct human relative. Okay. Our extinct Our closest extinct human relative. Okay. Now, why are they saying that? They're saying that because they know that those outside of Africa could have DNA in them that come from these Neanderthals that they have found. And they know that the Neanderthal is a different and distinct being than the what they call the Homo sapien. Or I'm just going to say the black man, because the black man is the original man. So when they tested the black man, they know that they don't have any of this stuff in their DNA. They know this. So think about this, okay? To all these hypocrites and all these people that's running their mouth, it just takes simple math to figure this out. If you have a being in the earth, a white person that's mixed with African American ancestry, and you're mixed with the Neanderthal, these are two totally different, separate beings. Okay. Now, what people have to understand, okay, because people are like, well, how is it? It's simple. All you got to do is just take a few minutes and Google. Okay. Google, and shout out to Jeremiah for the $10 chat, man. Yeah, we working in here tonight. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, share this, get this out there to the circuit, man, because I'm busting it up tonight. You know what I'm saying? Now listen to this right here. Okay. When you look at species, for an example, do you know that a lion and a tiger can actually breed and produce offspring? There are species here on the earth today that can breed together with subspecies. Okay. So let's understand that this is not, you know what I'm saying? This is real life stuff. Just look it up. It take you a few minutes. A lion can breed with a tiger and produce offspring. It's the same thing with man. You know what I'm saying? As I'm getting ready to teach you, going all the way back to the beginnings of time when I crack that book here in a minute. So how we simplifying all of this and making it make sense is that when you look at when you look at the people in the earth today, and they're telling you that it's DNA that's coming from something else, and you have a person that does not have that DNA inside of them, but you are mixed with some of the DNA that comes from that person and something else, 2 + 2 is 4 all day long. The man mixed with something that was not black. As simple as that. And they not only have the bones because they have the Neanderthals, which they are testing, okay, the DNA from, and then they tested everybody in the earth, and they see okay, well, these particular individuals don't have this gene, but then these people over here, they have it, meaning that something mixed. And this is what I taught y'all years ago, but I'm coming back. I'm coming back and I'm going crazy with it since they want to play. Now, listen to this right here. Now, this is coming from Dr. George Busby. Okay, if I'm saying his name correctly, back in 2020. Listen what he says here. One of the most startling discoveries arising from genomic sequencing of ancient hominin DNA is the realization that all humans outside of Africa have traces of DNA in their genomes that do not belong to our own species. Okay, that's coming from Dr. George Busby. You know what I'm saying? So what is this hypocrite talking about? And this ain't coming from me. This coming from them. He says the approximately 6 billion people on Earth who recent ancestry is not from Africa will have inherited between 1 to 2% of their genomes from our closest but now extinct relatives, the Neanderthals. East Asians and Oceans have also inherited small amount ancestry from the Denisovans. Okay, so what is this hypocrite talking about? That ain't coming from me. This is coming from Europeans. Okay, and I'm getting ready to bust this down, man. Just bear with me. Okay, but I'm showing you that the white scientists are coming out and identifying this as a subspecies. Okay, that's not coming from me. They're saying that. Okay, now let's keep it mobbing here. Okay, okay. All right, so then they tell us, they was like, okay, the unusual DNA found in West Africa isn't associated with either Neanderthals or Denisovans. Okay, so now let's get into the book now. Okay, now let's get into the book. Okay, because now we're getting ready to bust it up, and I'm finna close this thing up. Okay, now let's go back to the Bible, and I'm finna ready to go in now. Okay, so now I explained to you that and let's just read this real quick. When we go into the book of Genesis, right, and we're in Genesis chapter 4, verse 11, it says, "And now art thou cursed from the earth, which has opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand." Because remember, Cain killed Abel, right? Now listen what the Father's saying here, right? He says, "When thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shall thou be in the earth." Okay. Now listen to what Cain is saying here. He says, "Behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from thy face shall I be hid. And I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth, and it shall come to pass that everyone that findeth me shall slay me." And Yahuwah said unto him, "Therefore, whoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold." And Yahuwah set a mark upon Cain, lest any man finding him should kill him. So what you got to understand is that this mark that he's placed on Cain is the whiteness of skin. Okay, this is the mark. This is why when you go back up here to verse number 12, it says, "When thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shall thou be in the earth." Okay. So what is it saying here? What is it saying here? He's basically saying that when you till the ground, basically when you have sex and you have produced offspring, it's not going to yield its strength. This is why when you look at Europeans, their whiteness because you have genes in your body, in your skin for melanin. Those genes are recessive that they have. You see what I'm saying? It's not yielding its strength. This is why anything that mixes with a white person is going to dominate. You see what I'm saying? This is why a black man can sleep with a black woman and produce a black child. A black man can sleep with a white woman, and produce what? A black child. A white man can sleep with a white woman and produce a white child, but then if he sleep with a black woman, he's going to produce a black child because the genes of the black is more dominant. You see what I'm saying? So this is why when they made the law, when they said they did not want black men marrying women, this is the reason why. Because they know that blacks are dominant. Anything we touch, we're gonna change the color of that thing. You know what I'm saying? And that's just for any other race. Like if a whatever a Mexican, a Chinese, any of those sleep with a white person, they're going to change. You know what I'm saying? Their features are going to be more because their genes are more dominant. You know what I'm saying? This is what the father's saying when he said he was going to place a sign on Cain. So you got to understand, they got this out of Africa doctrine. It's a false doctrine. Oh, our people left Africa back during this time. No, you got kicked out of Africa. You see what I'm saying? The father kicked you out of Africa, and this is why they were roaming in the earth, being vagabonds, as the word brings out. You see what I'm saying? And we know this because now let's go even more deeper with this thing. Okay, we got a few more slides here, right? When you go here to Jeremiah chapter 31, right? Listen what it says. It says, behold, the days come, saith Yahuwah, that I will sow the house of Israel and the house of Judah with the seed of man and with the seed of beast. Okay. So what you have to understand is when we look this word up, it's taking us back to the Hebrew word ben which basically means beasts or cattle, which is the same thing that we see in the beginning of time when the father is creating these beings. So is the father, now we know in the book of the law, bestiality, that's a sin. So is the father saying he's going to create bestiality and do all of that? No, that's not what he's saying. He's speaking about mixing the seed of Israel with these different races, white races, Chinese races, all these different races that are not the original. This is what he's saying. You see? And real quick, let me stop right here before I continue. Okay. So what people have to understand is that when you go back into the beginning of time and we read in the book of Genesis, and it said that the father created all of these beasts out of the field. This is what he's talking about. These Neanderthals and Denisovans were beasts that the father created out of the earth. And so when he kicked Cain out of the garden, and Cain went into Eden, because think about it. If you look at Eden, and Eden is in the Middle East, what's east of the Middle East? You start going into Europe. So this is where they find all of these bones and all of this stuff with these Neanderthals, because this is where Cain went and he took his wife at. And so you have to understand that Cain was a black man. So over the years, as he was breeding, you see what I'm saying? That stuff was passed down. So it's simple to understand this. These people have to add all these different pieces at the beginning, but you have to understand it's just like today. When you hear the word, what they used to call our ancestors, the N word, right? You got to understand that we as Israelites, we're not going to never identify ourselves as the N word in that perspective. We know what I'm saying? We use it with the A on the end, but as far as the ER, we don't use that. You see what I'm saying? So what you have to grasp is that we're not going to identify ourselves as that. So when you look at the Bible, it's a Hebrew book. It's a Hebrew book that everybody is trying to enter into. When you look at all of these other nations, they have creation stories, but it's nothing like what the Israelites was given, because the Israelites dealt directly with the Most High. It's, for an example, when you look at Europeans, if you look up Romulus and Remus, which is supposedly the founders of Rome, they're saying that they basically came from dogs. This is their story, not mine. I'm not coming up with it. This is what they say if you look it up. So this is their story. But then now that they got the Bible, people want to say, well, oh, well, this is us. This is that. Nah, this is not you. Because the book is telling us, if the Father is telling us what he made in the beginning, he would have told us if there was other people in the earth. Because if there was other people in the earth, that means you would have a pure race. You would have a pure race that had not sinned. You see what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, this is what it was. The beast that they made. This is why they're telling you that these people are subspecies that are extinct. Okay, this is what you got to understand. And like I was teaching the brethren, when you go back, right, and you look in Rome at the amphitheaters where they would bring the people in basically to slay them. When you go back to them times, what they don't tell you is that those people were eating and drinking blood from the people that were dying. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna do an expose on that because this is why they set up all of these blood clinics in the you know what I'm saying, in the area where black people are at to get blood, because they know we have the original blood. You know what I'm saying? So they're trying to get it for cheap. Excuse me, they're trying to get it for cheap. Now, moving right along, right? What this is right here is what you can go look up online at the World Cancer Research. And what it is melanoma skin cancer. And it's saying that it's showing you, it says the following three tables show total global melanoma skin cancer incidence and rates in 2020, followed by the figures for men and women. Australia had the highest overall rate of melanoma skin in 2020, followed by New Zealand. Now, why is that? It's because when you look up there around Australia and the New Zealand area, you have to understand that they're telling us that the ozone layer is thinning out, meaning that the sun is basically busting through. This is why they are allegedly spraying all of this aluminum and stuff in the sky to try to block the sun. What you have to understand is that when you hear these people online talking about the global warming, that has nothing to do with Israelites or black people that has melanin in their skin. That has to do with white people because the sun is burning them up. You see what I'm saying? So they're doing everything in their power to try to preserve themselves because they know that they're not natural to the sun. This is why I think, now think about this, right? Because I'm breaking this stuff down so you can understand this. If the Father know and understand that you need melanin in order to stand up under that hot sun, why would he be prejudiced, or why would he be so unrighteous not to give white people melanin, knowing that they need that in order to survive in the sun? You see what I'm saying? Without it burning them up. You know what I'm saying? Because that's natural. That shouldn't be burning you up like that and doing damage like this. You see what I'm saying? So is the Father unjustice, or is he unrighteous? No, because that was a punishment. This is why when Moses stuck his hand in there and his hand turned white as leprous, and when he struck Miriam with leprosy and turned her white, that was a punishment. Just like when he sent Cain out the garden, he said, I'm gonna put a mark on you. That was a punishment. And so what you got to understand is that when in the colder regions where the Europeans were inhabiting that, you have to understand where it's cooler at. They don't need that much sun. This is why the Father took all of the melanin out of them, where they could basically get direct access to the sun. But you know what I'm saying? You got easy access to it. That don't work for us in the wintertime. You know what I'm saying? This is why we so cold, and in the wintertime we in, because you know what I'm saying, our body is not designed for that. We're designed to be in the hot, warmer regions. You know what I'm saying? And when you look over there in Jerusalem and all of them spots, those are warm regions where we coming from. This is the area that we're built for. You know what I'm saying? And Africa and the places by the equator where it's warm at. This is why they came and got us to do the labor here in this nation, because they know that under those extreme temperatures, it's ugly in the paint. You know what I'm saying? So because you have less melanin, you can inhabit these colder regions because you can receive sunlight easier because you don't have that much melanin in your body that's holding you up. We got to be in the sun for a while. This is why up north people break down faster, because they're not getting enough sun. They're not getting enough vitamin D. You know what I'm saying? And so the body is breaking down. So you have to understand that. But if you look here on this list right here, what are the top countries for skin cancer? Where the sun is burning them up? It's all European nations. All European nations. You know what I'm saying? Now let's keep it mobbing here. We almost through. Now listen to this right here. It says these are articles in the Jerusalem Post that you guys can look up, right? It says remarkably, although Arab Israelis, especially men, tend to work more outdoors, the prevalence of melanoma in this sector is rare compared to that of Jewish Israelis. The reasons are apparently that they have darker skin, they cover themselves up more, and the risk appears to be stronger influenced by socioeconomic condition rather than indoor versus outdoor occupation. So they're telling you that these particular people, they have melanin and they stay covered up. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? They over there wild, and you know what I'm saying, with this Babylonian stuff, and that sun was eating them up. But listen what they had to say though. They said it says Israel boasts of its sunny weather throughout most of the year, but the downside is damage to the DNA from ultraviolet rays that can cause the development of melanoma, the most dangerous type of skin cancer. People with low levels of protective skin pigment melanin are the greatest risk of contracting the malignancy. Okay. It says the latest report on melanoma released on Monday by the Cancer Registry of the Health Ministry Center for Disease Control showed that every month, an average of 144 new patients with melanoma are diagnosed, and 17 die in each month. These constitute 5% of all cancers diagnosed in Israel. Okay. So what people have to understand is that, number one, that's a punishment. Okay. It's a punishment. You know what I'm saying? And so what you have to understand is that the son is bearing record to the punishment that the father put in place, because they were kicked out of the land. This is why in Africa, if they could, they would take Africa because of all of the resources in Africa. But they know that in order to do that, you basically got to enslave the whole continent in order to have them working for you. And that's going to be problematic. You know what I'm saying? So this is what you got to understand. Okay. And then let's get to the last slide here, right? And this is what I want to end this thing on, right? It says right here. Now, this is an article that was published on Fox News back in 2015, right? And this is what it says. It says white Americans are both generally weaker and less diverse than their black counterparts. A Cornell University-led study finds, analyzing the genetic makeup of 20 Americans of European ancestry and 15 African Americans, researchers found that the former showed much less variation among 10,000 tested genes than that did the later, which was expected. They also found that Europeans had many more possible harmful mutations than did African, which was a surprise. Okay. So what you have to understand, and I will leave the link for you guys to just kind of check that out. You know, where you can go there and just kind of see what's going on. But I just wanted to take the time out and just show you guys this. So at the end of the day, these are Europeans that's coming out and saying this stuff. This is not coming from me. This ain't coming from blacks. This is coming from Europeans. Okay. They're telling you that they did a test, and they're telling you, and the reason, and listen, and it's easy to understand this. Whenever you have the original is going to always be better than the knockoff or the blend. You know what I'm saying? This is what you got to, anything you get, and you want to go always get the authentic. Give me the real stuff. Give me this. You know what I'm saying? So anything that's blended, and they know that it's blended because they're checking the DNA, this is telling you what's going on. You see what I'm saying? You're going to have more problems because you're dealing with two different type of genetics in your body. One is created for one particular type of living. The other is created for the other. So at the end of the day, I mean, like, you ain't no getting around that. This coming from them. I didn't say that. I'm just busting the information up. You know what I'm saying? So where is what is so supreme about that? There's nothing supreme about that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not being funny, and I'm not being, but I'm just saying, what is supreme about the white race if you come from the black race? And then you're the ones that's creating the racial barriers, not even understanding. This is why I got to come educate even the Europeans on this madness and what they're doing, because you're creating barriers and you come from the black man. You see what I'm saying? All of this stuff about blacks came from all of this stuff is all trash. And this is why I'm telling y'all, this is the end of white supremacy. They use the laws and all of this stuff to enforce all of this stuff, just to find out years later that you come from the black man. You know what I'm saying? All of this stuff y'all doing is what? It's pointless. So there's nothing supreme about that. There's no such thing as a pure white race. So what? I mean, like, it's time for this stuff to stop. The facts are in. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I just wanted to take the time out to just, you know what I'm saying, go over that. You know what I'm saying, kind of hit that on the head. You know, if anybody want to jump on, we had like an hour and 42 minutes. I got let me see. I'm gonna copy the link. I'm gonna drop the link in here. Make sure when you come in, you're being respectful and things like that. And then, you know, let's you know, if y'all want to have some dialogue, we got about 15 more minutes, and then I'm gonna shut it down. So if anybody want to jump on, we got about 15 minutes, and I just dropped the link in there. If not, I'm gonna close everything down. You know, if anybody want to talk on any of those points that I made or anything of that nature, the link is in the description box. All you got to do is click, come on in. I'll give you guys a few minutes to get in, and then if not, we're gonna shut it down here in a minute. Okay, A said, thanks, bro. I was told Israelites don't like us, but I know my country was whitewashed. Everybody come from black people. I'm just listening to this. Always open to learning. Oh, most definitely, man. It's all love. You know what I'm saying? Shoot, my people from PR. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? You just got to understand, like, even back during that time period, you know what I'm saying? When they was bringing the slaves into all those different spots, they were mixing and mingling with the people in those on the islands and stuff out there. You know what I'm saying? Which is part of the prophecy where the father said that he was going to mingle the seed of Israel with these particular peoples. You know what I'm saying? And the earth. You know what I'm saying? So this is him once again fulfilling his prophecies. You know what I'm saying? All right, we got about 10 more minutes, man, and then I'm gonna close it up. If anybody want to jump on, just make sure you're being respectful, and make sure when you come on, you don't have, you know, any drugs, narcotics, anything like that, or anything of that nature like that. But if anybody want to come on and speak on this the last few minutes, the link is in the description box. Yeah, see, the thing you got to understand about out there, Ace, is that the when the Europeans came over to the islands, and, you know, PR to be exact, you have to understand that the Taiwan Indians was out there, and they basically sent them a letter from, I want to say it's King, let me see, King Fernandez, I think is his name. Okay, if y'all haven't saw that letter, go look it up. It's a letter from King. King Ferdinand, if I'm saying that correctly. Okay. But go look at the letter that he sent to Puerto Rico back in that time period. You know what I'm saying? And see what's going on. But listen, but also what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be busting up this religious stuff because I'm getting ready to teach you guys. And if y'all watch the video, I mean, when y'all was here, where I showed you in Virginia law that the Europeans that came from Europe, these were the Christians. You see what I'm saying? The ones that came from are people that came from the continent were not Christians. You see what I'm saying? So it's a whole ordeal that it's a whole big expose that I'm getting ready to do on that. Excuse me, to show you guys how this stuff originated with the Europeans when they brought the stuff over here to America. They had certain rules and regulations if you wanted to be baptized, and then they went on to say if you was baptized, you still wasn't able to. Man, I'm finna go in on that too. You know what I'm saying? Because our people got to know and understand this history. So yeah, but anyway, man, make sure y'all subscribe to the channel, share, get this out to the people. You know what I'm saying? I already know that they're gonna flag it, so because I'm busting it up, but make sure y'all get this out you know what I'm saying, to the family, man. And you know, everybody stay safe out there. Much love to all the Israelites from the four corners that done checked in tonight. You know what I'm saying? We got to keep this movement pushing. And if y'all miss what I said at the beginning, I have Israelite teachings on my other channel. KOI is where I do all the lessons at. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna start moving the bigger lessons here, like what we just did tonight. You know, coming up the road, but most of my work is being done over there. You know what I'm saying? So make sure that y'all guys are subscribed to that channel and understand, make sure y'all locked in because we getting ready to do some big stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'm not just here reporting just to be reporting. Once we get these numbers up and continue to keep building up the community, we getting ready to do some big stuff with the Israelites here, first and foremost in the United States, and then we getting ready to this thing finna go global. So make sure y'all locked in, and I'm gonna keep updating y'all on all of that. So man, listen, I love y'all. Y'all stay safe, and I'm out of here. Shalom.